will show them what the consequences are for threatening that which I hold most dear. I will leave no doubt about it.
I'm stunned. I can't believe what I just watched. And to think, this is only episode 3. Teach was always going to be a goner this season, but in that way, that was one of the most hard to watch scenes that I have witnessed in years. I was just sat, stunned in silence. That gruesome, brutal, torturous death scene must have been closing in around the 10-minute mark, and the longer it went on, the more it angered me to see the end of Woodes Rogers. I said in my premiere review that we've never really seen a reason to be fearful of the governor. Sure, we've heard whispers of the stories he's capable of, but in terms of actually being scared of the guy, he was quite a bit down in the pecking order. Well, scratch whatever list you had, because now, when he anchors back in Nassau, he's going to give everyone reason to fear his name. Rogers will raise Teach's head on a spike, a warning for anyone that stands in his way. And as of right now, I think he's actually overtaking Eleanor at the top of the hated list. Now, we never got an overly long time of Teach on our screens, but in the segments which we did, he showed us why he was the legendary pirate that's name still lives to this day. Ray Stevenson was perfect for the role, and when Teach showed up, his presence made all the difference. Last season, he helped turn the tide of battle, but since he lost Charles, the man he looked at as his son, he has been consumed by his quest for vengeance. And that is why his death hurt all the more. He didn't die seeking revenge on the woman who took Charles from him. He died because he wanted to see Charles's vision become a reality. Jack talked him into going after the sloop last week, but that surprise ambush was something that even they just didn't see coming. I'm sure Teach expected some kind of resistance, but Beringer gave Rogers his most ruthless, dark men for the task at hand. And contrary to what I may have thought, Rogers didn't duck out into the night like I thought he would have. He and his men stayed the course, and they did the job alright. They overwhelmed Teach and his boarding party, but it did take about 5 to 6 men to finally bring Teach to his knees. Jack surrendered the fight, as Rogers went on to carry out the most ruthless of executions. Teach was keel-hauled. With a rope passed underneath the ship from side to side, Teach was thrown overboard and pulled with force under the ship's hull. The razor-sharp barnacles cut Teach's body into a bloody mess, as I expect one pass would normally be enough to end the target's life. Well, not Teach. He went through 3 passes of keel hauling before defiantly laughing at the feet of the governor. He saved Jack's life by fighting until his last breath, ruining the governor's grand parade and taking him off his game. So the governor ended it with a bullet to the head. I'm telling you, that death is going to stick a while. It was absolutely brutal. And thank God the episode ended off the way it did, because I needed that lift. After infighting dwelled the pirate numbers even further in last week's episode, the hopes of taking the fight back to Nassau were hanging by a thread. Billy had disappeared. Silver and Israel Hands had the governor's men on their tail, and Flint and Maddie were practically holding the resistance up all on their own. Events began to fall into place though, as Silver was reunited with his love as their unification set their sights on payback. Pirates were being hung in threes by Captain Beringer's men, a stage he set purposefully in order to lure the pirates in. Eleanor knew that to be a mistake, and she was right, as Silver, Flynn and the rest of the pirates finally had a victory by overthrowing the English in Nassau's main square. Silver stepped out from the myth to truly become the legendary Pirate King, as he gave Hans the go-ahead to dispatch the despicable captain. It gave us a moment to savour, following on from that torture we all just witnessed, and there is no question that this episode of Black Sails will live long in the memory. In terms of an hour of television, the world of Black Sails will never be the same again. It is up there with the very best, and it is a must-watch episode. Therefore, it deserves a full 10 out of 10. This week delivered one of the most shocking episodes in the show's history. Teach's death was right up there with Charles's in terms of hitting you where it hurts. But there is no question that Teach's death was the most brutal yet. Keel hauling was known to be the pirates' most feared execution. And I love the fact that Teach smiled at the prospect of what he knew was to come. I'm going to miss Teach immensely, but like I mentioned before, his death this year was inevitable. TV shows usually waver from the factual line from time to time, as I understand Teach's death was much more different than what happened here. Changes are to be expected and savoured though. You can't cram everything into a show and make sure that all of the facts are right, and there does need to be some creative freedom. So I expect plenty more of that before the season's end. Either way, his death might have been coming, but I did not expect it so early on this year. I can't really pick a standout moment of the week. Teach's death is obviously the one that comes to mind, but in terms of my favourite, it just had to be the pirates' fight back. We needed that lift after watching the previous 10 minutes, but both scenes combined together were the top moments from the week. I've talked a lot about Teach's death, and it is because it's such a monumental moment. He was a legend amongst his brethren, and for them to see their captain be put through the torture of what he was, Jack included, has to cast doubts in the pirates' minds into their overall goal. 3 episodes or not, Beringer certainly made an impact. The detestable son of a bitch is dead now, thankfully, but both sides of the war lost huge casualties this week. Eleanor knew that Beringer was making a mistake, and no doubt she'll be locked up in that fort. But I want to know if the resistance can take the island before the governor can return. If they can, what's going to happen then? Rogers would have an army of pirates standing in between him, his crew, his captives, and his wife. So would he trade for the thing he holds most dear? Well, if it plays out that way, we'll have to wait and see. Wow, what did you guys think about this week's episode? I'm still shocked at what I saw unfold. Are you as shocked as I was to see it play out in such a brutal manner? Let me know your feelings and thoughts about the episode down in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. And I'll see you on the next one.